Hello, passionate Celtic fans. Welcome back to your favourite spot for all things Celtic, where we dive into the highs, lows, and everything in between. Right from the start, it's impossible to ignore the atmosphere surrounding the team at the moment. We've seen a lot of change, a lot of expectation, and naturally, a fair bit of anxiety among the supporters. The legacy of Martin O'Neill still hangs heavy in the air. He was more than just a manager. He was a stabilizing force who exceeded expectations and brought confidence back into the squad when it felt like things might be slipping. Fans remember his achievements vividly, the winning streaks, the cup triumphs, and the way he commanded respect and affection from everyone connected to the club. That shadow is a big one, and stepping into it is never easy for anyone. Now, Wilfried Nancy has taken the reins, and he's walking into a scenario that's far from simple. From the very first whistle of his tenure, the pressure was palpable. Celtic supporters are passionate, demanding, and incredibly knowledgeable, and when the team didn't immediately hit the heights they'd become used to under O'Neill, the scrutiny was intense. 30 minutes into the recent match against Hearts, the score still 0-0. Fans were already questioning decisions, lamenting the departure of O'Neill, and wondering whether Nancy had the ability to navigate the squad through the challenges ahead. It's one thing to come in fresh with a pre-season to bed in your philosophy, but Nancy had barely a few days with the players, and the realities of the league and cup fixtures don't wait for anyone to get comfortable. The tactical setup has been an area of both interest and concern. Nancy opted for a 3-4-2-1 formation, a back three that gave some solidity, but also required disciplined wingbacks and midfielders capable of pressing, recovering possession, and linking play efficiently. Trusty Scales and Tierney formed the defensive spine, with Yang and Tenki tasked with providing width and dynamism. McGregor and Engels were expected to control the deeper midfield roles, with Hitati and Negron slightly ahead, supporting the lone striker, Dyson. On paper, it's coherent, but on the pitch, execution matters, and that's where some of the difficulties emerged. The energy in the first half was decent. Celtic pressed well, won balls back, and showed glimpses of rhythm, but there was a distinct lack of cutting edge. Too often, passes were misplaced and promising moves broke down, leaving fans frustrated and players under pressure. Engels and Hitati, in particular, struggled to find consistency. Moments where you'd expect them to influence the game positively instead resulted in turnovers, and it raised questions about whether the squad, as currently composed, has enough quality to execute Nancy's vision immediately. Negron's presence was barely felt in the contest, and while McGregor had flashes of brilliance, even his influence was limited at times. The wing-back deployment was also intriguing. Yang, usually thriving on the left, was on the right, and Tenki's positioning and decision-making created mixed results. Some players showed glimpses of their international class, but the chemistry, especially on the flanks, wasn't quite there. Celtic often looked capable of getting into promising areas, yet the final ball, the finishing touch, and the ability to unlock Hearts' defensive organization were missing. Hearts, after a slow start, adapted quickly, figured out the Celtic pattern, and controlled key areas, especially through the middle, where Cammy Devlin dominated and neutralized influence from the likes of McGregor and Negron. It's early days for Nancy, and while he deserves patience, it's clear the window for adjustment is narrow. Thursday's fixture against Roma is looming large, a cup tie where the intensity, stakes, and expectations multiply. Every decision, every tactical tweak, and every bit of cohesion matters now. Celtic can't rely on the magic of legacy alone. The squad has to deliver, and Nancy must find a way to blend his approach with the players' abilities quickly. Fans are aware of the potential, the glimpses of skill, and the flashes of tactical intelligence, but they're equally aware of the shortcomings. The defensive base needs to be solid, the midfield dynamic and creative, and the attacking threat consistent. The balance across positions, the right combination of players, and the willingness of individuals to step up in high-pressure moments are all pivotal. There's also the psychological element. Supporters are passionate, vocal, and still very much mourning the loss of O'Neill's steady hand. The pressure on Nancy is immense, not just to win matches, but to restore belief, build momentum, and show that the team can compete at the expected levels. It's a delicate dance, balancing the history, expectations, and current realities. Injuries, squad limitations, and the lack of a full pre-season compound the difficulty. Yet within the challenges, there are opportunities. Every possession, every quick passing sequence, every well-timed movement is a chance to assert control and begin reshaping the narrative. There are moments when the structure works, when pressing disrupts the opponent, when combinations create openings, and when the squad's quality shines through. These are the moments Nancy will need to cultivate, repeat, and expand upon to achieve stability. The performance against Hearts highlighted both potential and vulnerability. The first 15 to 20 minutes saw a burst of energy and intent, but the team lacked the sharpness and creativity needed to break down a well-organized side. Wing play, final balls, and the interplay between key midfielders weren't fully effective, and Hearts were able to impose their plan successfully. For fans, it was a mixture of hope and frustration, knowing what the team is capable of, but seeing how fine margins, misplaced passes, and lack of cohesion can tip the scales. Celtic's talent is there, the structure is being experimented with, and the philosophy is in its infancy, but results are urgent, and consistency is a pressing concern. Every change, every tweak, and every training session will now have a magnified impact. The expectation is high because Celtic fans know what this team can achieve when it clicks. Nancy has to find solutions, foster belief, and extract performance under pressure immediately. Thursday against Roma, followed by upcoming fixtures, represents a crucial test. Players must adapt quickly, leadership must emerge on the pitch, and the team must rediscover both rhythm and confidence. With so many factors at play, squad limitations, tactical adjustments, lingering comparisons to O'Neill, the road ahead is challenging, yet it's also a chance for Nancy to stamp authority, for players to rise to the occasion, and for Celtic to demonstrate resilience, skill, and determination. The pressure, the scrutiny, and the intensity are part of the game now, and how the team responds will define the next chapter. As we move deeper into the season, the spotlight on Wilfried Nancy only intensifies. Every game, every tactical choice, every substitution is under scrutiny. The supporters are hungry for progress, and rightfully so. Celtic is a club with a proud history and high expectations, and anything less than competitive performances will be dissected endlessly. The Hearts game, while offering glimpses of potential, also underscored the gaps in quality, decision-making, and cohesion that the manager has to contend with immediately. It wasn't just a case of misplacing passes or a lack of sharpness. It was the combination of structural uncertainty, inconsistent effort, and the psychological weight of following in the footsteps of a club legend like Martin O'Neill. What stands out is how the players responded or struggled to respond under pressure. Dyson playing as the lone striker, offered glimpses of instinctive finishing, positioning himself well in the box, yet he was often starved of quality service due to the inconsistent delivery from the wings and midfield. Yang and Tenki, both talented in their own right, found themselves carrying an undue creative burden. Yang, traditionally strong on the left, was operating on the right and had to adjust while still being expected to provide incisive passes, overlapping runs, and defensive cover. Tenki's bursts down the line were energetic and drew fouls, yet the final ball often lacked precision, turning opportunities into frustration. It highlighted the fine margins between potential and execution, and how small errors can compound against organized opposition. In the midfield, McGregor showed flashes of the vision and technical ability that Celtic fans have come to expect, but consistency eluded him. Engels and Hitati, despite recent strong performances in training and earlier matches, reverted to moments of carelessness under the pressure of a competitive game. Negron, while physically imposing, rarely influenced the play or dictated tempo, and the collective midfield often failed to link defense and attack effectively. These weaknesses allowed Hearts to gradually assert control, especially in central areas, where Cammy Devlin's intelligence and positioning nullified several Celtic moves. By the second half, it was evident that without a plan B or alternative approach, the team struggled to penetrate, recycle possession, or generate sustained pressure, leaving supporters and observers concerned about adaptability and resilience. Defensively, Celtic held their shape reasonably well in patches, but there were moments of uncertainty that could have been costly against stronger opposition. Trusty, Scales, and Tierney did their best to maintain the back three, but with wing-backs sometimes caught high up the pitch and midfielders not covering efficiently, gaps appeared. Hearts weren't able to exploit them extensively, but against a team with greater clinical ability or speed in transitions, those gaps could prove decisive. The lack of defensive cohesion, combined with limited creative support, paints a challenging picture for Nancy. The manager must cultivate leadership on the pitch, instill a sense of responsibility in key players, and ensure that tactical principles are adhered to under pressure. It's also clear that the timing of Nancy's appointment has made his task even more difficult. Unlike Martin O'Neill, who had time to implement strategies and build confidence gradually, Nancy stepped in mid-season with minimal preparation. Injuries, fixture congestion, and a squad not yet fully adapted to his approach exacerbate the challenge. Yet there's also opportunity in this adversity. Early difficulties can galvanize a team, provide lessons, and highlight areas for immediate improvement. Nancy has to extract the maximum from each training session, communicate his vision clearly, and make tactical adjustments that account for both the limitations and the strengths within the squad. The stakes couldn't be higher. Upcoming matches, particularly the clash against Roma in the Cup, will define momentum, shape morale, and influence fan perception of his tenure. The psychological dimension is equally important. Celtic fans remember the consistency, confidence, and results delivered by O'Neill, and that comparison is inevitable. Nancy needs to navigate expectations, maintain belief within the squad, and prevent early setbacks from creating a negative spiral. Players must respond with focus, determination, and adaptability, recognizing the unique pressures of representing a club of Celtic's stature. Leadership, both from the manager and senior players, will be critical to managing transitions during games, handling opposition strategies, and responding to setbacks effectively. The team must demonstrate resilience, creativity, and commitment, particularly when facing well-organized opponents or when matches don't start in their favor. The balance of the squad is another critical factor. Some players are thriving in their positions while others struggle to deliver consistently under pressure. Tactical tweaks, such as reconsidering wing-back assignments, midfield combinations, or striker deployment, could enhance effectiveness. For instance, ensuring Young plays on his preferred flank, providing better support for Dyson, or experimenting with alternative midfield pairings might improve fluidity and create more goal-scoring opportunities. The challenge lies in implementing these adjustments quickly and coherently, particularly with limited preparation time and a busy fixture schedule. Every decision carries weight, and errors can be magnified by the intensity of competition and fan scrutiny. Celtic's challenges also highlight broader strategic questions: how to manage squad rotation, integrate players returning from injury, and maintain competitive intensity across multiple competitions are all pressing concerns. Nancy must foster a mentality of adaptability and intelligence, ensuring that the squad can handle different formations, defensive setups, and attacking patterns. Preparation for high-stakes matches, such as the upcoming cup tie against Roma, requires attention to detail, tactical discipline, and mental fortitude. Success will depend not only on individual talent, but also on collective understanding, anticipation, and execution. Players must take responsibility for their roles, support one another, and maintain concentration throughout matches, even when under pressure or facing adversity. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Celtic Park has been humming Orphe loud this morning, with a fresh rumour swirling ruin the East End like drizzle off the Clyde. Celtic have pulled off a shocker and brought in CALLUM HUDSON-ODOI from Nottingham Forest. Nothing's been made official, nay statements, nay grand unveilings, but folk closely to the club are whispering that the winger has already been spotted near Lennoxtown and that the deal came together quicker than anyone expected. Supporters are already arguing whether it's a masterstroke or a gamble, but the buzz is unmistakable. Hudson-Odoi, still only in his early 20s, yet already seasoned by the highs and lows of Premier League life, has long been seen as a player with more talent than opportunity. The chatter suggests Celtic moved quietly, taking advantage of uncertainty at Forest, and the player's desire for a fresh stage to find his spark again. There's talk that Brendan Rodgers has been a huge influence, convincing the lad he'd get the freedom and responsibility he's been craving. Around pubs from Govan to Glasgow Cross, folk are speculating about how he'd slot in. Some say he could bring that burst of pace and trickery the Hoops sometimes lacked on the flanks. Others mutter that his form's been too patchy, but even the skeptics admit there's something exciting about a player who once had Europe's heavyweights sniffing ruin him. Inside the club, the word is that Celtic see this as one of those rare opportunities, a player with big league pedigree, hungry to prove himself again, and affordable only because circumstances elsewhere shifted just the right way. Whether he becomes a fan favourite or another name in the long list of nearly theirs remains to be seen. But for now, the whole city feels a wee bit livelier. If the rumour proves true, it could be one of the most talked about moves in years, no just for the shock value, but for what it signals: ambition, boldness, a willingness to punt on pure talent, and for Celtic fans dreaming o' flair and firepower. That's enough to set hearts racing even before a ball has been kicked. Hello. fan, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.